So let's start with this really powerful image. Picture a year, right at the pinnacle of power, okay? And you have this leader declaring, famously, "I alone can fix it."
Mm-hmm.
But that statement seems to just starkly clash with what was actually unfolding.
Yeah.
A reality of, well, unprecedented chaos.
Yeah, quite a contrast.
Exactly. And that contrast really opens the door to the book we're diving into today. I Alone Can Fix It. It's by Leonnig and Philip Rucker, who are, Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalists.
Top-tier reporters.
Right. And our goal here today is not just to summarize the events in the book, not at all. We really want to explore how the book does what it does, how its rhetorical choices, the way it's constructed, builds such a compelling, such an impactful story about really a pivotal time in recent history.
It's about getting under the hood, seeing the craft and the message together.
Precisely. Unpacking the artistry and the argument.
And just so you know, you are experiencing a unique two-host AI conversation powered by Google's NotebookLM, designed for deeper and more dynamic book analysis like this one.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. Let's set the stage properly. What was the context, the urgent moment that even led to this book being written? Well, Leonnig and Rucker were looking back at Donald Trump's final year as president. And what a year, right?
Absolutely turbulent.
You had the COVID-19 pandemic just exploding, the incredibly divisive 2020 election, huge nationwide protests after George Floyd's murder.
And then culminating in the January 6th Capitol attack, just one thing after another.
It's heavy stuff. And this isn't just like background noise for the book. This intense, tumultuous historical context really amps up the feeling of urgency, makes the book feel so significant.
It really does. And that immediate pressure, that exigence, as rhetoricians call it, the thing demanding a response, was palpable. It was the perceived chaos and the potential threat to American democracy unfolding right then. So their main goal, you could say, was first to inform and expose, to give this really detailed, documented account of that final year.
Just lay out the facts.
Lay out the facts meticulously. But it's more than just reporting, I think. They clearly also wanted to persuade readers about the sheer gravity of it all, the internal chaos within the administration. And ultimately, it reads like a warning, doesn't it, about the fragility of American democracy.
That fragility really comes through. Now, speaking of authority, let's talk about the authors. Carol Leonnig, Philip Rucker, as you said, Pulitzer winners, investigative reporters for the Washington Post. That's a serious pedigree. How does knowing that, their established credibility, sort of shape how you approach the book even before you read page one?
Oh, it's huge. That's their ethos, their inherent credibility, and it's absolutely foundational. Knowing their reputation sets an immediate expectation of thoroughness, of factual accuracy.
Right. You expect serious journalism.
And they back it up in the text by being transparent about sourcing, referencing direct interviews, including, critically, with Trump himself. Their track record, their previous books, their reporting, it all lends this immense authority.
And who are they writing for, do you think? Who's the intended audience?
Well, broadly, I'd say it's any citizen interested in U.S. politics, democracy, recent history, the informed public, but maybe more specifically. Journalists, historians, policy folks, anyone really invested in government transparency and deeply concerned about the democratic process.
And you feel that concern in the tone of the book almost right away. It's urgent, definitely investigative, but sometimes it feels almost incredulous, like the authors themselves are grappling with the absurdity of what they're documenting.
Yeah, incredulous is a good word. It constantly highlights the surreal, the chaotic, the frankly alarming nature of events and behavior at the absolute highest levels. It pulls you in.
It really does. It feels like you're getting an inside look, not just a summary.
And that feeling is really amplified by the book's logical appeal, the logos. Think of logos as the underlying structure of reason and evidence. This isn't just opinion or hearsay. It's anchored in just extensive documentation, a very precise chronological account of actions, decisions, and crucially, their consequences.
So is the what happened backed by proof?
Exactly. They layer fact on fact, quote unquote, these minute-by-minute descriptions sometimes, references to public records. They're not just telling you it was chaotic. They're building this undeniable, almost forensic case. It forces you, the reader, to confront a reality that's pretty hard to ignore. It's like a historical brief.
Okay, so the logos, the facts and logic are rock solid.
Yeah.
But the book isn't just a dry report, is it? It definitely hits you on an emotional level, too. How do they achieve that? That feeling of unease, maybe even anger or fear, that pathos. I certainly felt a deep sense of worry reading it.
Absolutely. And that's where their skillful use of pathos, the emotional appeal, comes in. It's woven in quite effectively. They evoke those feelings, fear, anger, disbelief, through these really vivid retellings of key events. Think about the pandemic response they describe, or the administration's reaction to the protests.
And the lead up to January 6th, chilling.
Right. Chilling is the word. Those descriptions of the chaos inside the administration, the infighting, the uncertainty, they naturally create this profound sense of unease about the country's future. They pull you into the human drama and the high stakes.
And the structure of the book seems absolutely crucial to building that emotional weight. It's strictly chronological, right?
Yeah.
Starts with early COVID warnings and just marches through that whole year.
Yeah.
How does that choice, that organization, impact the reader's experience?
Well, that chronological structure isn't accidental, I think. It deliberately guides you through this year of accelerating crisis. It perfectly mirrors that sense of escalating tension, that feeling of things spinning out of control that really defined that period.
So you feel it building.
Exactly. You're almost living through it in real time as you read, which definitely amplifies the emotional impact and that mounting sense of urgency.
You know, as we're unpacking how meticulously this book documents such a fraught period, it really makes me think about the value of deep reflection on complex events. And speaking of which, for those of you looking for more ways to engage with powerful ideas and narratives like this one, you should check out Mindful Moments. That's our YouTube channel. It offers AI-driven book analysis really designed to spark reflection and rational thought, often digging into complex narratives just like the one we're discussing now.
That's a great point. And building on that idea of structure and impact, another really powerful rhetorical strategy the authors use is juxtaposition and contrast. They are constantly putting official public statements, what was being said on camera, right alongside the chaotic reality they documented behind the scenes.
Showing the gap.
Precisely. It exposes this really significant, sometimes quite shocking disconnect between the public face and the internal reality. And they also contrast different figures within the administration, those who seem to enable Trump versus those who were apparently trying to mitigate his actions. That really deepens the analysis of the internal dynamics.
And the title itself, I Alone Can Fix It. That's a masterstroke of illusion and irony, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It directly references Trump's own words, but the irony's thick because the entire book documents the exact opposite of fixing it. That contrast between the boast and the reality is baked right into the title.
It sets the stage immediately. And beyond the title, they often allude to broader historical events, like the impeachment hearings or the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right, connecting the dots.
Yeah, situating that chaotic year within a larger historical context. It makes it clear this isn't just an isolated story about one administration's final year. It has broader implications.
Let's talk about the language itself, the diction. How would you characterize the words they choose?
I'd say it's very precise, very journalistic, but also remarkably accessible. Even when they're discussing really complex policy decisions or chaotic events, the language stays clear and direct. They do use strong descriptors, words like catastrophic, chaotic, disastrous.
But it doesn't feel overly sensationalized.
No, I don't think so, because the words feel earned by the evidence presented. They're used precisely to highlight the urgent tone and the author's assessment based on their reporting. The sheer weight of the facts does the heavy lifting, really.
And making those facts truly land, making them memorable, comes down to their use of imagery and narrative. It's not just a list of events.
Not at all.
There's vivid scene setting, snippets of dialogue. It really immerses you, the reader, doesn't it? Puts you right in the decision rooms or on the streets during protests or even inside the Capitol on January 6th.
Absolutely. They masterfully use eyewitness testimony, what people saw and heard, to heighten that sense of realism and immediacy. It draws you right into the heart of these critical moments, almost like you're a fly on the wall.
So when we step back and evaluate the book's overall effectiveness, did it achieve what it set out to do?
I would say yes, highly effective, especially in achieving its primary purpose, laying bare the internal chaos and highlighting what the authors clearly see as serious threats to democratic norms. That meticulous documentation we keep mentioning, it really bolsters its authority and makes it a crucial historical record, one that definitely invites further scrutiny of public leaders.
And it seems perfectly pitched for its audience, too.
I agree. The investigative tone, the mountain of evidence, the inherently dramatic subject matter, it aligns perfectly with what that target audience seeking transparency and a serious look at governance failures would expect and value.
And throughout all this, there's an ethical dimension too, right? What's the ethical stance the authors take?
It feels very much like traditional watchdog journalism. Their stance seems to be scrutinize power, hold it accountable, do it for the public good.
And crucially, how they do it matters. You mentioned they avoid sensationalism.
Right. They seem to deliberately rely on the inherent gravity of the events themselves and on the reported words and actions of the key players. The facts, presented starkly, are powerful enough to convey the message without needing, excessive dramatic flair.
It feels like the power is in the reporting itself.
Exactly. And that commitment means they manage to avoid some common pitfalls you see in this kind of instant history. Critically, they offer analysis over mere summary. They aren't just recounting what happened, they're probing motives, revealing internal debates, putting actions into a broader democratic context.
So adding meaning and interpretation to the facts.
Yes, and the rhetorical devices we've discussed, the contrast, the irony, the narrative structure, they feel like they're used strategically to underscore the stakes, to clarify the complex picture, not to obscure it or just embellish for effect. It's about bringing clarity.
So when you put it all together, I Alone Can Fix It really stands out. It's not just a timely book, but almost a masterclass in investigative reporting. Through this really detailed forensic examination, Leonnig and Rucker effectively show, as their analysis argues, the fragile nature of democratic governance and maybe the profound consequences of unchecked executive power.
It certainly leaves you with a lot to think about, which brings up a final thought maybe for you, the listener. What does this kind of intense forensic examination of unchecked power suggest about the ongoing vigilance we all need to uphold democratic principles? And maybe more personally, how might engaging with narratives like this actually shape our own sense of civic responsibility?
That's a powerful question to ponder. And for more deep insights, more ways to challenge your thinking, do explore Mindful Moments and also check out our other podcasts. We bring this kind of detailed analysis to many other fascinating books and topics. And hey, click the link you see on screen for the in-depth book summary we touched on today. Please do subscribe and share this conversation with anyone else you know who loves to think critically. If you're interested, you can also find a link to purchase the book itself there. But most importantly, keep thinking critically. Keep questioning the narratives that shape our world.